So I started taking a Unit 2 test before you got here. I have not finished it, but you have finished it. So tell me about Unit 2. Let's start with, what is Unit 2? What are the big concepts?
Unit 2 is about accelerated motion,
Okay.
Newton's second law.
Okay.
It is very graph heavy and math in general heavy.
Okay.
So a lot of like finding acceleration, finding initial velocity, and even applying the acceleration of gravity. But it's not explicitly said. So that's like an enduring understanding or a concept that students need to know when it's not given to them in a question.
They need to know gravity when it's not given?
Yeah, when it's not given to them. Like they need to know by reading a question that an object is falling on Earth. And that equates immediately to gravity.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then there's also like pulling from Unit 1 when they talk about static and dynamic equilibrium when reading a position time graph. It's a lot of math. So even the velocity in time graphs, it's not simply just a graph. Like you would have to find the area of a triangle or a square. So it's layers of math to answer one question.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was taking the first 3 questions where they give a velocity versus time graph, and I was like, you have to know so many different things from this graph, and just being able to read a graph, period, can just be a challenge. So how does this unit progress? Like, what are we getting ready to start with, and like, how does it build over time?
So the first lesson is just about how to read a velocity versus time graph, and the second lesson jumps into free fall. So I planned for it that way, but I think I need a lesson in between.
Because you have so lesson 17, which I had, was derived definition of acceleration. That's where they start.
Yeah.
Okay. And they are doing that from a velocity versus time graph?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
And then the second lesson jumps into free fall and gravity.
Okay. So what lesson are you trying to put in between?
So in lesson 1, it starts off with the velocity versus time graph, then goes into ticker time diagrams, and then the last portion is actually doing the equation. That's all crammed into one lesson.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
So you're thinking split that lesson up into 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your first day?
I think the first day should just be graph and diagram.
Okay.
And then the second day could be about using the acceleration formula.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you going to derive that day, or do you think you can derive the first day? Because do you actually have to derive from the graph and diagram?
No, not according to the lesson plan.
Okay.
Because the last portion of lesson 1 is word problems.
Oh, okay. So save those for day 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think also I have to clearly define vocabulary for day 2.
Okay.
Like just looking at a velocity versus time graph is actually more complicated than just like finding this number. It's like you have to know at this point we're at dynamic equilibrium. At this point we're not moving. At this point it's positive acceleration versus negative. So,
I'm actually really glad you said that, because later in the lessons, lesson 24, they just jumped.
Yeah, no, I noticed that as well.
They just jumped to the velocity versus time graph, and I was like, we never discussed this. I was
Right.
like, and we seemed to cut the lessons where we were talking about it. So this actually makes me feel a lot better that you have thought through that.
Yeah.
Because when I asked Jamie, it was like, well, there's no ball.
No ball?
There's no ball. Bye. When I asked Jamie, she gave me an explanation. I was like, I don't want to do it that way now. But okay, keep going.
But I think that just like as I deconstructed or I did the Unit 2 exam, I also noticed like one of the graphs on page 4, it says graph to acceleration versus time. There was never an example of that.
In any of the lessons?
No. So I have to create one for the students.
Oh man. Yeah, because I don't see that either in the breakdown. Ugh.
Because you would have to figure out the area to answer this question.
So are you trying to do that now? Like hit them with it, or?
No, I just think I have to like.
Yeah, because 22 is they talk about the slope of position versus time. 24, they talk about velocity versus time. But to your point, we never look at a graph of acceleration versus time. So do you think we should do that after lesson 24? Lesson 24 is analyze velocity versus time graphs to determine acceleration. So then do acceleration versus time.
That's fine with me.
Okay. So we'll need to add that in here. Okay, so day 17, break into 2. We move to free fall. Do you want to keep the lab?
I think it'll keep them engaged.
Okay. What are they supposed to get from it?
I think that they're supposed to understand that I think it's to visually show you the connection between height and gravity, or like where an item falls. So if they see it on a graph, if they see that the line is increasing or it's a direct relationship, to make that connection. Maybe we don't need to spend a day and a half on it.
Well, I have that first part, that 50 minutes, which I was again wondering, do you think it could do the first part in 50 minutes? And then the second part is the actual graphing and the formula, so we might need a day and a half on it just to be able to do all of the pieces.
Can we bleed into Friday?
Yeah, we sure can. Right now, the base thing. Right now, if we extend lesson 17 to 2 days, you would do that on the 27th. You would do that next Monday and Tuesday. Then your lesson 18, I don't know why I don't have lesson 18 in here. Do you want to try to do 18 and part of 19 on Wednesday, Thursday, and then continue that into Friday? Okay. And then you'll start Monday the 4th, still with lesson 20, which is, I have fluency with the average acceleration formula. Calculate any unknown variable in a formula. That's what I have for
They
20.
need practice on that.
Ooh. Okay.
Like even on the test today, a lot of students did not understand that V equals D over T is the same thing as D equals V times T.
So are they using this?
They have to do that for question 17C.
But I'm wondering, on the test, are they using the, what is this called? Formula sheet.
Yeah.
Really? And they still didn't?
For question, for unit 1 or unit 2?
You're talking about unit 2.
I'm talking about unit 2, but I'm just saying, like, as an example, in today's, for unit 1 exam, they didn't understand you just have to manipulate the letters.
So I'm saying, on the formula, so did the test come with the formula sheet, and they still didn't?
Yeah. They were like, which formula do I use? And I was like, it's the same thing, so it really doesn't matter.
Oh Lord, okay. It's starting to click now. It's
Yeah.
but it's right there on the formula sheet. Oh Lord, okay.
Yeah. So, and they, I think also what they struggle with is like they don't understand that the letters represent numbers that you just have to plug in. And that was a part of a lesson that we covered this unit, but I think we have to revisit that and spend
More time
on that.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Davis about it too. And she said that she would actually give me like a step-by-step of what she says to the students, so we can use the same language.
Okay. That's good. Okay, so acceleration, we're gonna start this lesson, we're gonna start the beginning of this unit, because when we talk in your next 3, we can talk about the second half of this unit. Split up lesson 17 into graphs and diagrams, and then actually using and having to comprehend word problems. We need to do the free fall lab, and we'll bleed that into Friday. Is there anything we need for the lab?
So they need meter sticks, but what I was gonna do actually, instead of, I was just gonna mark off the side of their table.
Is it high enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I gotta look at it again, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Got it. And then lesson 20, which is where they'll start to practice. I think you potentially might need to make lesson 22 days if you feel like they cannot.
I'm sorry, you said lesson 20 or 22?
20. I have 22 as the slope versus time graphs.
Yeah.
Which we can move down to a Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes, please.
If you think that just like calculating
Yes.
unknown variable. Okay, so
Anything with math, I feel like
they need more
they need more time.
Okay, so we'll pause there. I will adjust 15 resources to match. And then if you could just look at the lab one more time and just make sure we have everything we need. Like if you, I can't remember, this is balloons? What are they dropping?
Pennies.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it.
Do you need some change?
I can.
Okay.
It was just the meter sticks. I don't know if we have it. That's what I was gonna.
I ordered some for Begna.
Oh.
So ask her.
Yeah.
Because she did ask me for some for AP Environmental, and I believe they're here. They already came in. Okay. My God. Is there anything else you can think of in these first couple lessons that you may need help with?
It's just differentiating for math, but I'll create something that I can.
When you say